All right. Hi everybody, my name is Donna Hudi. I'm with Phoenix Software International. Here today to talk about the Open Mainframe Project in general. I'm actually the chair of the marketing committee for the Open Mainframe Project, so poor May over here gets stuck with me on almost a daily basis. She keeps me in line, I think, instead of the other way around. So we're here to talk a little bit about the Open Mainframe Project. The name of the session is Redefining the Developer Experience on the Mainframe with IA and Community. These are the charities that I'm sure you've all seen every single session we've been in today, and will for the rest of the week. We are very excited actually from an Open Mainframe Project perspective to be here officially for the first time ever at GSE UK. There have been, over the last several years, there's been sessions that are Open Mainframe Project or Zowe related throughout the event, but in other streams throughout the event. But this is the first year that the actual Open Mainframe Project has its own stream here. And so this is kind of the end of the first full day, and so hopefully you all have had an opportunity to sit in on some of those sessions, because I think we had some great submissions this year, and we were very excited about what we were able to get scheduled. So we're going to start off with talking about what the Open Mainframe Project has been doing to try and redefine the developer's experience, right? So part of what we're trying to do is provide a standardized set of tools, if you will, that will allow developers who may or may not necessarily have mainframe training to be able to cross-platform, right, and have a standardized set of tools. Zowe comes into that, right? There was a press release 2 weeks ago about the long-term service release version 3 for Zowe. That is a boundary, right, a release boundary. There are breaking changes in version 3, but the goal is for breaking changes to only occur at a major boundary, release boundary. Hopefully they can keep up with that, and the service releases won't actually create breaking changes, but that goal is to not have them outside of the major releases. There's some big things that happened in version 3, and I won't go through all of them. You can actually read the press release. You can get to it here. It has a lot of the details, but I think some of the major things that happened with version 3 come from the installation wizard. That was a big deal. There was a lot of feedback that came from customers with regards to how hard it was to install and configure Zowe. And so they put a lot of work into the installation wizard to try and simplify that whole process for everybody based on that customer feedback. There's also changes to profiles. So you didn't used to be able to share those profiles or create team profiles in the previous versions, and they've now moved away from individual profiles to team profiles. That is a breaking change, I believe, as you cross boundaries here into V3, but it's one for the better for sure. And then the changes that happened with Zowe Explorer for IntelliJ, again, trying to standardize that tool set for everybody. Obviously, bug fixes, performance improvements, and things like that. But again, you can read about it in the press release, but we're very excited about this. Zowe's now been around for 6 years, I think, and it's definitely made a huge impact on the developer's experience in working on the mainframe, especially for that younger generation that's coming in. So yes, we've had a lot of impact with Zowe. Also on the testing side, we've had a lot of impact with the COBOL Check and Galasa, bringing a standard set of tools and a standard process and methodology for testing through those projects. And as part of the press release, you'll also note that we have brought in 2 new projects to the Open Mainframe Project. One around code intelligence, the other one around open source tools. From a code intelligence perspective, we're talking about Zowe. Zowe has to do with large language models and being able to obtain the data necessary to have those in place, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. Unfortunately, there was a gentleman that was going to be here that could speak very specifically to Zowe. His plans had to change. He's not here today. He'll be here tomorrow. His name is Gabriel Gordon Hall, and he's from Bloop. and he is one of the leaders within the Zorse program, and he'll be here tomorrow. So if you have questions specifically about Zorse, if you find him, I saw that they actually have a booth downstairs, so you'll be able to talk to them. And then we have open source tooling. We have the Z Open community, recently renamed to that. Before it was called the Z Open Tools. They just recently renamed it, but this is essentially a set of open source tools that were donated to the open source community by IBM, and I have this lovely gentleman here, Bill O'Farrell, who's going to help me speak to that in more detail as well. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these slides, but essentially, you know, what they put in here was you can run but you can't hide. AI's here and it's here to stay. It's evolving, right? So, you know, AI started off with machine learning, and now we're moving over into generative AI, which is where Zorse comes into play. The thing that I think is important, and this same presentation, just FYI, was given two weeks ago at IBM's Tech Exchange by Meredith Stoll from IBM, and I am no Meredith Stoll, but one thing that I thought was really important that she said was that it's not an or, right? It's not the traditional AI machine learning that we're used to or generative AI, it's an and, right? And so I think it's important to understand that what we are, it's a progression. So there are some challenges though, and that's part of where Zorse comes into play, right? And that's quality of testing data and measuring how good the models are. Again, that's where Zorse comes in, right? So looking at those large language models and being able to understand and use them to write code for the mainframe, improving the productivity of those engineers. The problem is the data, right? We need to get the data in order to be able to train those large language models, and that's where Zorse comes in. So while Gabriel couldn't be here, he did answer some questions for me, which I put on the slide so that you could see the answers to them. And so one of the questions I was going to ask him was, what's the point of Zorse? And as you can see here, he says it's a toolkit to train better large language models for the mainframe. It's mainframe source code is underrepresented in training data sets, and as a result, large language models are worse at reading and writing COBOL, JCL, and Rex than more modern languages like Python. So they're hoping that Zorse will solve these challenges by collecting a data set of high-quality mainframe source code and building evaluation benchmarks to track those large language performance on mainframe programming tasks. Better LLMs will lead to better tools for mainframe developers. We wanted to know how a mainframer who is new to AI can get involved, and his response to that was, we need source code. And what I know is that what they're looking for is they're looking for organizations that have source code that could be donated, right, to the project that could be used to help them build their benchmarks. So that's how someone who, you know, could get involved. And he actually provides his contact information here, and as I said, he'll be here tomorrow if you want to have a conversation with him, if you think you have a way that you can participate here. And then the last question was, how can someone new to mainframes get involved? And coupling with, you know, the source code needed to be able to benchmark, we actually need to build the benchmarks. And so his recommendation here is that they need folks to help them build the actual benchmarks once they have the code. So again, another way to be able to get involved. Also, you have, outside of talking to Gabriel specifically, like I said, Bloop is, as I saw a booth downstairs, and he will be here tomorrow. He promises me. You have hyperlinks over here and a QR code that will take you to the Open Mainframe Project's page on Zorse, which will have a way for you to be able to get in touch with those folks. The next set of challenges that we're trying to solve is getting open source tooling access on ZOS or ZOS. Sorry. In my head I was going to say that, but you know, it's muscle memory. And so IBM had the ZOS open tools. They've had those, have been around for a little while. They've donated them to the open source community, and then they've subsequently joined the Open Mainframe Project, which was just announced, as I said, in the Tech Exchange 2 weeks ago. There's some great sessions there about those, and I think we've had some great sessions here already between yesterday afternoon and today on a Z Open community. And so I will move on. So, Bill, I'm not even going to try to speak to this. I don't know if you can.
Well, it just says that we have reporting currently in the process of porting over 200 tools. Now, of those 200, there's these, which are good to go. They are ported fully, pass all the tests, and among those tools are all the ones you may be familiar with, you know, Bash and Git and curl, and Perl, and VI, and you know, basically we are going to keep current with them, but there are no outstanding issues. And then, you know, some of them are pretty close. Some of them, you know, we really can't pass the tests. We kind of skip the tests, or at least some of the tests, because they don't really pass yet, but we may be able to build them. And some 41 of these we haven't managed to build yet, so obviously those are works in progress.
Great. Okay. We have Igor Tartarovsky actually put together a little video for us that I'm going to try to play here, and if I can do it without blasting everyone's ears like I did earlier to myself. There we go. We can look at a little quick video. It's not playing. It was earlier. Oh, I know why.
It's still on your...
It's still on my slides, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to escape out of my slides. Sorry.
Cool tune, though.
This just proves that Igor is a one-man man. He can edit videos.
I'm going to tell you that
do talks.
Igor put that video together in like record time.
Yeah, I asked him how he did that. He said, "Oh, I just do this."
I mean, like amazing record time. I was floored.
And if you have the right software.
No,
Now you gotta get the play to come up. There you go. But you gotta maximize it or whatever.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Right click on it and see if you can. It's weird.
It doesn't come up. Maybe if I do this.
You don't have multiple desktops there.
You would think I do. Yeah, it's like I have multiple desktops.
Yeah, because when you share, sometimes there's like.
Yeah, it's like it thinks I have multiple desktops because you're not seeing what I'm doing, even though I'm plugged in.
If you minimize it and slide it over, I'm sure it can do it.
Maybe, yeah. It's not.
Not that way.
There you
Oh,
go.
there it is.
There you go. All right.
Okay, now I have to do it backwards. Let's see how coordinated I am.
Oh, I know, that's hard.
There you go. Well done. Voila.
Voila. Okay, so again, here's some links to be able to, if you want to do some more research on the Z Open tools and how you can contribute. The package manager I know is a big deal. Igor and I had an extensive conversation about that when we were in Vegas. And then there's also the QR code there. But since we have our lovely friend Bill here, Bill, I'm going to ask you some of the same questions I asked Igor, which was, the first one was, can you describe the Z Open community and how it aligns with the Open Mainframe Project's theme?
So it is open. It's intended to make the mainframe open. And open means that not only do we have open tools, but open contributions. Basically, anybody who's familiar with development on an open system like Linux can come over to the Open Mainframe and can carry on with their favorite tools, which in many cases have been extended and enhanced for use in that environment as well.
Awesome. So what sets the Z Open community apart from previous similar attempts, if you will?
Well, you know, we had a few of these tools before from various places, mostly proprietary. But you know, here's the problem: is that if they're proprietary, invariably they fall behind, right? And they get mixed into, you know, the schedule. When are we going to release them? The next release of that, well, we have to bump it because we've got to do X, Y, and Z first, and so on and so forth. And they fall behind. And they're not the same tool as people are used to. They're not the open tool anymore, right? So being open means we are on top of the situation, and you know, we pledge that they will be current with the open source.
Are there other challenges that you all faced while not being part of Open Mainframe Project that you're hoping that being part of it is going to help resolve?
So I think it's being part of with the prestige and integrity and visibility of the Open Mainframe Project, right? So I think it's a question of gaining people's trust, and by gaining people's trust, we'll gain their willingness to help us, support us, and use us, and develop just enlarge our community of users and contributors.
Have you gained any contributors just in the last, since you've joined on to the Open Mainframe Project that you're aware of?
So I believe we're continuously gaining contributors. I don't have those numbers, but we actually do keep those numbers. And those are also open. So you can go to our website and you can find out how many contributors there are and how many downloads there are. And we're trying to maintain those statistics openly. I don't have numbers in my head, but yeah.
That's great.
Wow.
No, it's great that you can actually find them. Is there anything that's on the horizon for Z Open that we want to kind of keep our eye on?
So there's the 200 tools. Not all of them are ready for prime time, and so we want to get those 200 ready for prime time. And we're constantly taking, requests or gentle nudges in the direction of other tools. One of the popular requests these days is Rust. That's a fairly big deal, but we're looking into that. Actually, I'm the technical lead for Go, and we've had there's been a number of requests for tools that are written in Go. So I have personal experience with those because we put them up on the Z Open community as well. So these requests come in, and I'm not a social media person, but believe it or not, we get a lot of requests on the Discord channel. And there's another channel, which is an actual IBM channel called IBM Ideas, and we get those requests there as well. So yeah, people are constantly adding to the list, and we're trying to do that ourselves, but being an open community, we're hoping others could say, someone has suggested this, maybe I could do that, and
Right.
get the public contribution as well.
So, outside of clicking these links or looking at the QR code, then how does somebody get involved? How does somebody get in touch with you all and get involved?
So there's regular guild meetings, we call them guild meetings, which are just discussions of what's new and what are the current success stories and reporting, et cetera, like that. All of that's listed on the website. So if you go to the website, zopen.community, I love how simple that is. zopen.community, go there, and it'll all be open to you. You can get involved with the guild meetings. There's discussion forums there that you can participate in, it's a big and growing community, and it's a place where you can feel welcome and can feel that no matter what level of knowledge you can make some kind of contribution.
Great, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
So I have a question about this. And you know me, I'm a big believer in consistency.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have Zowe and you have Zorse, not Zoe and Zorse. How come this isn't Zopen instead of Zopen, right? I mean, right? That would be consistent. Otherwise, it should be Zorse and Zoe.
Yeah, sure. Good question.
So
I'm turning around and looking at May.
I mean, is that a dumb question, or I feel like, I don't know.
How do the names get decided? I actually don't know that answer. The community decides them, okay. So the
as you
community.
know, as we discussed before the meeting started, various communities don't know how the other one is pronouncing it.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
sometimes I'll pronounce it this way and then go somewhere else and someone else says, so maybe, maybe they're saying Zowe.
Okay,
Yeah, and I'm perfectly okay with that.
good question. Good question, but the communities, I guess, are deciding it, so there must not, we must not have a set of guidelines for them with regards to their naming conventions.
And that language there is called COBOL. I'm just making observations here.
All right.
I told you I would.
You did, yeah, you told me. Okay, thank you, Bill. Then one of the next things that I wanted to talk about a little bit, since we have plenty of time, is what the Open Mainframe Project is doing to enable innovation with the next generation. And through the Open Mainframe Project's mentorship project and the Open Education Project, we've had great success. They started the mentorship project back in 2016, had 7 mentees. This year, we had 70 plus mentees in the Open Mainframe Project mentorship program. And through the Open Education Project, a lot of that educational material is also being passed down to some of the universities, and so it's actually being spread even further than just those 70 plus mentees that participated in the mentorship program. Everyone is very excited about the mentorship program and what has come out of it. Just some examples I wanted to go through real quick. These two gentlemen are brothers, Muhammad and Salisu. And Salisu was actually going to school to be a doctor in Nigeria, but he had some interest in mainframes, and so he joined the mentorship program. He actually helped, and I know where you're gonna go with this, Ed. He actually helped launch the Zebra project, which is a sub-project of Zoe.
I forgot about that one. You mean Zebra?
I knew it was coming.
Zebra.
He actually helped launch that with Alex Kim from IBM. And then he encouraged his brother Muhammad to join the mentorship program the next year. And his brother, after joining, helped create the VS code extensions similar to the Zowe CLI samples, but they were tailored obviously for the mainframe. So that's a huge success that everyone was very excited about. We have Hartanto here. He was a mentee in 2022 for the COBOL, or the COBOL programming course. He graduated in December 2022 and continued with the project and actually became a technical steering committee member in January of 23. And he's now, this year, in January of '24, this year he became an Open Mainframe Project ambassador. So people are coming into the mentorship program and they're actually staying and they're continuing to contribute to grow. So that's very exciting. We have Prince here. He was a summer mentee last year for the software discovery tool, and he continues to contribute to the community, and he just presented his mentorship experience at the Open Source Summit in Vienna. So now he's presenting, which is very exciting. We have Divya here, very similar, mentee in 2021 for the software discovery tool, working with Elizabeth Joseph, who's amazing. Has continued to contribute to the community and shared her experience in interviews like the one that's on the screen here from TFIR. And then she actually became a mentor in 2024. So you have mentees that are actually staying around and contributing and then becoming mentors themselves. That's, you know, something to be extremely proud of with regards to the mentorship program. And then there's this one, which I'm extremely proud of. This young man, his name is Rahat Khan. He was a mentee this year. His mentors were actually Misty Decker from Kyndryl and Bruno Izanha from Red Hat. And somehow, I don't actually remember exactly how I got involved in this, but they asked me if I would work with Rahat. And I spent a good portion of the summer actually working with Rahat. I was his guinea pig. He had this idea. He wanted to put together this video series called Mainframe Voices. And what he wanted to do was he wanted to reach out across the industry and tap a lot of experts from all different levels, IBM champions, distinguished engineers, all the way down to his fellow mentees. And he came up with a set of questions that he essentially wanted each one of those folks individually to answer from their own perspective. And so he put together this video series, which was amazing. He did it all himself, came up with the questions, decided who he was gonna reach out to, recorded all the videos, edited them and everything, and put this series together. And I absolutely love it. I think he did an amazing job, not just because I was actually one of his guests, but I just think I liked the format that he used. You see him once at the beginning, he explains what mainframe voices are, explains what question this episode is gonna answer, and then you don't actually see Rahat anymore or even hear from him throughout the rest of the video. Instead, what you hear are things like Rosalind Radcliffe answering a particular question from her perspective, right? Darren Search from Interskill answering a particular question from his perspective. Me answering a question, that same question from my perspective. There's 6 videos, I think, in the whole series. He's an amazing young man. He actually just reached out to me yesterday again to thank me for my help in helping him doing this and offering to help me with anything that I needed help with, whether it be videos or whatever, but he was so happy with the result that he ended up with and so appreciative of the guidance and the help that he got, that he wants to extend that forward. So if you haven't seen these, there's a link right there to Mainframe Voices. They're all out there. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you watch them. I think they're a great watch. And I'm very proud of Rahat and what he did. So if folks want to get involved in the mentorship program, whether it be as mentees, you know someone that would be a good fit as a mentee, or if someone wants to be a mentor, then these are the ways that you can get involved. You can apply. We're hoping to have an even better turnout next year. And then just, we probably have like 10 minutes and I don't have any more material past this, but because we're so excited to be here for the first time with our own official stream. You've had a day and a half of content already. This is what's left for the next 2 days. So, you know, if you're looking for something to attend, there's some great sessions here. I'm particularly interested in tomorrow at 11:15. We have a gentleman by the name of James McLeod. He's from NatWest Group. He's going to be giving a presentation. He is the leader of the open source business unit at NatWest. And he's very much an advocate. You can see him if you follow him on LinkedIn. He's all about open source within the financial industry. very vocal about it, but he leads that whole practice within NatWest. He's gonna be here tomorrow, presenting that session at 11:15, and then he's gonna, after that, he's gonna participate in a panel session with some others to talk about leadership in open source, which I'm also very excited about. I'll be moderating that panel and basically talking about, this kind of links back to the whole mentorship thing, but talking about how being involved in open source can help build leadership skills for those folks who are involved, giving them opportunities to build their leadership skills where they might not otherwise have those opportunities, and how they can then take those skills and take them back to their organizations and provide value to their organizations from having those leadership skills. So I'm pretty excited about that. Otherwise, there's the rest of the agenda, and hopefully you'll take advantage of those. This is how you connect with the Open Mainframe Project. May likes her QR codes, there they are. As well as you can follow them on all the social channels, and Slack is a great place as well too, to be able to connect with. I think a lot of the different projects have Slack. I know the Zowe project has Slack, and those experts, if you're working with Zowe, are readily available to you if you have questions on. You can just pop onto Slack and talk to those folks. And there we go. Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay. Thank you.